Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Guest Perception Podcast. Today we have Ivica, who is a life coach, and really just kind of life coaching to me, it came across actually before COVID. Well, during COVID, actually, to be honest. I had a DJ business, and I actually still do, but it was interesting because my DJ business got very much impacted during COVID. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I can wrap up and just sell everything and just, be done with it. And, then I thought to myself, I started watching all these kind of videos and personal development and got onto the Tony Robbins platform, which I think is so amazing. I mean, there's so many different levels of coaching, and really it can go anywhere from A to Z. So I feel as if, coaching is such a wide spectrum of really diving deep in the soul. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of really introduce yourself, Ivica, I hope I'm saying that correctly, and kind of just share your niche and your specialty within your practice.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you very much for having me here. Yeah, so the way I pronounce my name is Ivica, and I do have life coaching practice that it's called actually Ivica Sanctuary. And what it is focused on, especially on really the conditioning that we're exposed to when we're growing up that can affect us when later in our lives, and the way we receive and perceive ourselves and the things around us. So my focus especially is helping people to cultivate that inner safety, that self-trust, that self-worth. And I also help people who are needing help with navigating relationships and romantic relationships in a conscious way. So this is what I do, and I do have a background in film. So it's a very creative process. It's a very powerful process. It's a lot about questions. So what I do with clients, it's a lot of powerful questions that I ask that can really bring that realizations for people, because that's how adults really learn. It's not really telling person what to do. It's kind of intuitively come up with the question that it's thought-provoking, that creates that clarity, brings that clarity, and creates that realization for the person. And there's so many other tools that I use when I coach people, different exercises, and connecting to their body, because it's not just the mind, it's body, it's energy. So it's the whole kind of, complex of things that we can do during the session.
So it was very interesting because when when we first came in here, I was very high energy, as I have ADHD and I'm autistic, high functioning autistic, and you recognize that right away. So just out of curiosity, for somebody like me, where it's very high energy,
Yeah.
and somebody the complete opposite that is low energy, how do you sort of raise that conditioning vibe within your practice? Say if you're dealing with someone high or low, like what's sort of like your flow that you would go with, or how would you start to engage, or how would you start to really become impactful to that person?
When we are in high energy, and I'm not saying, like high energy, I think there are different ways of being in high energy. It's like, is that the cheerful energy, or is that high energy in like more the anxious energy? So it really depends what it is. And it's, most of the times it's about mirroring the energy to the client, but also recognizing and trying to really find out what they need in the moment is like, that's pretty much my job.
So just out of curiosity, what did you think I needed in that moment?
I did ask you a few questions about what
Yeah.
have you done prior. You shared with me that you went for ice bath, which was
Hmm.
brilliant, like
Yes.
4 a.m.
Three, actually, day
Admiring
3. Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went for jogs, so your body is like really to, um, be in that state, which I find really great. And yeah, I think we kind of got in the same level, as we start talking more. I feel like we start talking and I start sharing, you start sharing, and we just became in the same kind of energy.
It's interesting you mentioned something there, sharing. I think that word sharing is such a beautiful word, but a lot of people don't do enough of sharing these days.
I agree. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, it's very vulnerable thing
We were
to
talking
do
about that.
to go into our raw
Yes.
spaces. And perhaps if we tried to share when we were kids, it was not, there was not enough emotional support for us to for other people to receive that. So as we experience that in the past, now we are very selective and very careful and cautious when we do that and where we do that.
Hmm.
So
So when you run somebody through a session, like how do you structure? Like you have an intake meeting, you go through like if you were to have an intake meeting with me, what are some of the target points that you want to hit to make me question? Because I find that when we either need coaching or when we're because and this is such a frustrating thing for me. A lot of people, they go to the doctors, they get all this depression medication, anxiety medication, and all this other stuff that really does nothing because essentially all it is and I align this exactly with people that do drugs. We're actually just in Gastown here, but right up the street is Hastings, where there's people that is, they're injecting and,
yeah.
they're trying to escape some sort of reality. And that's the same thing what I feel with, all this medicine. It's just temporary escape. So how do you permanently escape?
Permanently escape of what are we escaping from?
Well, I think every one of us, we have some sort of barrier that we're trying to get out of, right? Whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's releasing our inner child, whether it's fulfilling our needs of I mean, there's so many needs that we have, whether it's variety, certainty, uncertainty, growth, love. I mean, love is such an important need. Actually, it's funny. Our creative director, that was his top need, right? Love is the oxygen for the soul, and I find that people don't give enough of that, and they don't receive enough of that. So there's always a barrier that we all have that we go through. So in your perspective, how do you sort of, just to kind of get back to my question, how do you on the first initial session kind of create that questions in somebody's mind?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, when you use the word escaping, I would rather perhaps invite, maybe we can say overcoming or outgrowing certain things that are holding us in that space that we don't want to be anymore, that are creating those realities that we don't want to be anymore. So I think it's really it's a process. It's not something instant that I have a solution or some kind of tip for a client to wake up and be where he wants to be. It's a first of all, it takes a decision to go on that path, to takes a commitment to commit to really daily doing that. It's not personal development. It's not just something that you do at an hour a day. It's a lifestyle. It becomes a lifestyle. So I think that's what is required when you want to shift and make changes and shifts in your life. Those kind of things, you have to be ready that there is a commitment to it. And it's not going to be perhaps linear. There's going to be things like that, and that's where we learn acceptance. That's when we learn those things to, and patience, especially because you sometimes appear, it feels like a square one. Oh my god, I've done so much work on me, and I just and I'm experiencing this again. But I feel like it's just the test that we're going through in order to be tested, in order to be leveled up. And just going back to your question about my intake session, what is it that I, can offer in my first intake session? It's really just getting to know each other, because I do believe that chemistry and that energy in between client and coach, it's really important. So it's, sometimes you sit with a person and you feel like you can't really, you're not really connecting. You're not getting anything out of the session, or the other way around. So for me, it's really important to have that first session with the person. There's certain questions that I obviously ask. What they value, for instance, because it's really important for one person to know what they value. Because if you don't know what you value, you can't really navigate, life in that way that aligns with it. So values, I do actually tap into the history. I ask about the parents. I ask about the siblings. I ask how it was when they were growing up. I'm interested to know, because all those relationships that we had in the past are really shaping us in a certain way. So for me, that is really important. What fires them up? It's one of my questions. I want to know, what is it that you love doing, that you really, enjoy doing, that inspires you, that those kind of questions. So we're just getting to know each other, and then I kind of assess the person, and I ask what's their focus is. How do they want to feel after they finish working with me? What they want to achieve? And it's not like I'm leading session, but I'm guiding the session. So I'm just there really to support the person. They decide where they want to go, and I'm there to take them.
Interesting. What's your background? Like, what led you into this sort of field of work, and what attracted you to this?
Yeah. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of my backstory, because I feel like it's needed for even audience to know. So I'm not from here. I'm from Slovakia. And I left home when I was 19. I moved to England, and I worked lots of different jobs and stuff. And so I that time I remember I hardly even spoke English. I mean, I had some classes back home, but I moved to England. It was completely different. Like I had to really start from scratch and learn. And eventually I left after 6 years of being in London. I left with tourism management. So it was a lot of my life, or in the past, I was in hospitality. And then I moved here in 2014 with my ex, and we got engaged. And here it was when I found acting and modeling. And I fell in love with that, because that was a craft that started really expanding me, like I don't want to say it was like therapy, but it was really therapeutic to really go out there and express yourself. So for me, that was really powerful to start doing that. And I really decided I want to continue pursuing this. And then, so that moment that my ex was not on the same page. So he was not really agreeing. So our visions start dividing, and there was another person that came in, and that was like a temporary connection that was really a catalyst for me to go inward and really start doing that soul searching, you can say, and really trying to understand myself and going deeper. And that was the moment. So me, like, deciding to go and pursuing this. And so important point, I broke up with my fiance, and I was alone here, and I was here maybe for like a year and a half in Vancouver, so completely different continent, ocean away from everyone that I knew, my family. It was not easy time for me to navigate, for sure. And I was happy fortunate to be able to work with life coaches and mentors that took me through that darkness. And really, I learned what self-awareness is, because I think it's really important to be aware when there's when there are high emotions. Where is it coming from? In many cases we are, it's easy to project outwards, and I've been doing that. I was doing that, but then I learned self-awareness, and I really um, became more aware about what's going on. Why do I feel like that? I am responsible how I feel. I am responsible for what's going on. And that process, me learning that process, just took me here, really. I became really passionate about personal development. I was doing lots of workshops and learning myself about different ways how to help myself. And then I decided I want to do that for people. I want to really support people in that way. And I went to Rhodes Wellness College in 2021. And I took the life coaching diploma, which is actually trauma informed course. So I'm not a counselor, but I have bigger picture. We went, a little bit deeper with things. And the best thing about it is that it's experiential learning, meaning that we were diving deep within us while we were also constantly coaching our classmates under the supervision of other coaches that were certified coaches. So it was like really diving in every day. So I was pretty confident to just finish the school and go right into my business. And that's what happened in 2021. Yeah.
Interesting. You mentioned on your intake sessions, you're trying to influence decision with your client. I'm curious to know what your decision was and how you got to it.
I'm trying to. Can we maybe ask again? Trying to influence decision on.
So you remember we were talking about your intake sessions, and you say you try to get the client to influence their own decisions, right?
Oh, yes.
And I'm just curious to know what influenced your specific decision to try to get into this field and continue to grow in this field. Like, what was
why?
Everybody, what was your why? Decision right. Why, what was it?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so my why, I think, is just the fact that I think it's the lack of emotional support that I had growing up. And I feel like I was always like kind of that, a very intuitive kid, you could say weird, and I think when my parents are very caring and loving parents, but also very overprotective. And there was, I could say a lot of control or whatever. I feel like even though parents are there for us as best as they can, as long as they don't do the inner work, they can't be there for us emotionally 100%. Mm-hmm. And I've received that. I felt like I never had that. And that's why I am very, and I think, one person has to go through those things in order, to experience. And for me, it became a purpose. It was like, okay, this is what I went through, and I want people to not to feel like I felt when I was growing up, and how can I do that? So I feel like now I got opportunity to experience it, to learn about it, to receive wisdom about it, and I can pass it on and kind of help,
That's super fast. I see you got a notebook there. Or is there anything that you'd like to share, or is there anything in the notebook that you have? I feel like it's here for a purpose, so I'm just curious to know what that purpose is.
Okay, yeah. So normally I carry a journal everywhere I go, because if I go in the coffee shop, I just journal, or if I have an idea, or if I have something that I need to just process and just get it on the paper. I did bring in because I wanted to do the exercise with you, so I would just rip the page and we could do that if you're open.
Oh, of course.
Do you want to do it?
Sure. How long
Okay.
does it take?
We can do it within a few minutes.
Okay, perfect.
It's something that it could, yeah, we'll see. It's a fear exercise actually that I do sometimes with my clients. I give you a page here. Actually, you can take it off.
So I'm gonna put my chicken writing on this thing.
You actually don't need to write. You will just draw.
Oh, that's even worse.
Are you comfortable doing this?
Oh, I can't draw, so I'm definitely gonna get laughed at, which is fine.
Not at all. Not at all.
I'll laugh too, so it's all good. What am I drawing?
So I just I really love that exercise. So it's about fear. How would you draw your fear?
Wow. How would I draw my fear? Well, our creative director Lucho, he's pretty scary. Maybe I'll draw a photo of him. How would I draw my fear?
And you can go with your creativity.
Wow. That is a great question. That is a great question. How would I draw my fear?
Yeah.
I'm being challenged right now, just so you know, everybody, because I don't even know how to answer this.
And it could be a circle.
How do I draw my fear?
It could be anything you like. It could be anything.
I think the biggest thing for me, the and I'm gonna have to talk about it as well, and then I'll figure out how to draw it after. But the biggest thing for me is
we don't need to do it right
having
away
limits,
when you're ready.
You know, having limits. Like, you know, I think that and another biggest thing for me for fear is having regret. You know, I don't know how to draw regret. I mean, I could spell it, but I probably couldn't spell it because I'm a terrible speller.
Yeah.
But
okay,
regret is a big thing for me because I don't want, you know, I like to go into things and not have any regret, because if, you know, for example, perfect example, you know, and again, I'll share a little bit of a story about myself. My parents have their regular job, you know, 9 to 5 type thing. Of course, the hours are not 9 to 5, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just kind of the weird branch on the tree that's just growing and doing a whole bunch of weird shit. And they always ask me, why are you doing this? And why don't you just get a job and be done with it?
Yeah.
And I think the form of regret that would come with that would be, if I'm 60 years old, why didn't I do it?
Yeah.
Would be
that's
my
a great question.
So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is having a regret.
I love that you have that as your, you know, question that you always ask when it comes to doing something. That's really encouraging.
That's why, you know, the goal for me is just, you know, whatever I do, I'm just going to do it completely, fully. And I'm just, you know, if I, you know, for me, I'm not a gambler. You know, it's funny, when we use the word gamble, we think of slot machine. But my perspective on gamble is like, hey, you know, I'm going to go into something. I don't know. It's going to be a dark room. I don't know what the room's going to look like. I don't know what's around the room. I don't know if there's a bear trap in the middle that I'm going to step on, but I'm still going to go there.
So taking risk.
Well, I mean, but when we look at risk, we look at, you know, I mean, getting a job is risky. Getting in your car is risky. Driving your car is risky. You know, walking on the street is risky. You know, like, how do we define risk? You know, so I think that's a really big question that a lot of us don't really ask ourselves, is defining risk. So, you know, for me, I think it's actually more risky to not do it.
Totally.
So, again, going back to drawing this, I'm still trying to figure out how I would draw a risk. I mean, I don't know, a thunderbolt could be risk.
If that's how you see it.
That just came to me like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it could have a face. It can be really anything you like.
Yeah.
Anything. There's nothing wrong, or, you know, just go what comes to your mind first.
I think a thunderbolt is the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's unpredictable. You don't know where it's going to go. It could strike any time, you know, but it's also, it ends.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. You know, it's like our emotional cycles. They end.
Totally.
Right? We're sad for a day, you know, the next day comes. It's like seasons, you know, winter, spring, summer, fall. Same thing.
Totally.
Right? It's just seasons of emotion. So
we don't have to, if you don't feel like drawing.
I don't mind. I just don't know how the hell to draw regret. I'm just trying to think about it, and I don't even know how to draw it.
Yeah.
I can definitely try to draw a thunderbolt.
Yeah. Let's do that.
My thunderbolt is going to be terrible. That's okay. It kind of looks like a Christmas tree, to be honest. That's okay. Thunderbolt Christmas tree. I don't even know what it's striking, but doesn't matter.
That's great.
So guys, just so you see, this is my thunderbolt.
That's awesome.
I hope you guys like this. Creative director, he loves it. That's 2 thunderbolts, by the way. What are you laughing at?
It looks great. How would you call it? If it would have
I would call it a thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt. Okay. So
Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Would you find it somewhere in your body?
Would I find it somewhere in my body?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Okay. That's
I don't know how to answer that.
That's okay. Totally. Okay. So it's just on a paper right now. And what would you say to it?
Well, if it hit me, I'd be pretty upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, you thunderbolt, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be pretty, yeah, we'd have to have a little talk.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So the purpose of this exercise for people, and people draw different things. It's really, there's nothing right or wrong. It's just like what they see it, and they have a name for it. So sometimes they are able to locate it in their body, or if it's outside of their body, or if it's inside in their body. And the way how they would talk to it. So you can really be just like, fuck off, or you can be like, oh, could you please leave? You know, it really depends how people decide to treat that fear. And you can just, when it's there, for instance, like I can say, I had to do that practice, for instance, before coming here, because I was a little anxious before I was coming and, you know, talking about me and stuff. So I just used that exercise besides other things. And yeah, I have a name for it. I know how it looks like. I know that I can send that away, you know, and it's some kind of like almost like a separate entity from you. So it's not sitting here. It's just like somewhere that you send it. And it's fun. It's creative. It's like, it's interesting exercise that, yeah.
So how about we reverse this and we get you to do your drawing?
Sure, I can do that.
What's your fear?
So I call mine, because I've done this multiple times, but so my would be like at the moment, I think.
Yeah, like right here, right now.
Like I would draw it like that.
Oh, that looks like Lucho.
Yeah, but I call this one.
Can you show it to the camera? Because we need to.
Yes, I will.
I need to see how it kind of looks like our creative director for sure.
Yeah, I will. So this is Gisela.
No, that's Lucho. For sure.
Okay. So
guys, just so you know, we have our creative director in the background here while we're doing this podcast. And honestly, he's without him, this would not exist, this whole podcast, because I'm useless. You've seen me draw a thunderbolt. You can't even imagine when I get to technical details. So big shout out to Lucho. Thanks, buddy. Love you. And, you know, I appreciate what you do. And, yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah,
just
of course.
Just felt that in that moment. So,
yeah, so this is Gisela, and that's
Lucho.
Or Lucho. Okay. Okay.
Super cool. Thank you so much. You know, I really appreciate you being vulnerable, coming on here, sharing your story. I mean, there's so much. I'm sure there's so much more that encompasses you as a coach, you as a person. We haven't even gotten close to some of the really inner workings of coaching and really just diving deeper. So, you know,
for sure.
I think this could be probably a 4-hour session if
I can. Yeah, we can.
There's lots about coaching, especially since, you know, I didn't go as far as a diploma or whatever. I actually, so I as we all know, and I'll mention it again, I've got ADHD and I'm a high functioning autistic. I keep saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it. So if people don't like it, too bad. But for me, when I did the coaching, I kind of hopped in, did a little bit, and this was due to my ADHD, and hopped in, did a little bit, and then went out, and then hopped in again, and then went out and hopped in. I was just kind of like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And the reason why is because I get bored with certain things, right? Like I'm a high energy person. I just need to be fire hosed, right? I just need that, right? And if I don't get that, then it's really difficult for me to stay full energy, right? Because I need full energy. I just need it. It's just something that is part of who I am. So I don't know where I was going with that, but
you were sharing you went into coaching in some kind of way.
So I did dive into the coaching section, and kind of experienced it a little bit, but it really just influenced and that's interesting you mentioned decision, because that made me make the decision to start learning about life coaching, to start doing podcasting, to start exploring my voice, to start doing advocate speaking, to start talking about autism, to start sharing my gift, to start dancing with my fears, right? It really gave me that. So, I believe that the gift of that decision has just really evolved and transformed into something that's much bigger. So, and I feel that you're trying to create that in people, and that's lovely. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And just maybe add to this, I think it's beautiful when we can alchemize that, when we go through something and then we can like turn it to the gold, which is, helping others and supporting others, because you've been through it, you understand it. It's not that you studied something, you just experienced it. And that's powerful. Yeah.
By the way, just one more thing, guys. Our co-host, Amanda Hansen, she was not feeling the best today. So we decided, actually last minute, we decided that I was just going to do the session with Ivica, which is great. I think the session was great. I think there's a lot of great key pointers here that people can take, and I don't know what that noise was, but that was probably my computer. But that's okay. We're still going to go for it. But there's a lot of key points that that can be taken out of this, and I feel that if you haven't explored, if you're going to the doctors and getting a prescription, or if you're taking other routes of trying to and I know you don't like the word escape, but I'm going to use it because I think it's the best fitting. But if you're looking to dive deeper, then I would definitely suggest to connect with you, Ivica.
Thank you.
I think what you're doing is great, and I really love that it's just all it is just organic. Like it's just like, hey, we're just going to talk. There's no medicine involved. It's just you. Totally. That's all it is. It's just you trying to break free from whatever your fears are, whatever you're feeling anxious about, whatever you're, I got this thing I always say with people. I always say, don't let it use you. You use it, right? Use whatever you're feeling to help you help somebody else, right? So, and I think that's the most powerful thing for a lot of people, which we don't use. So again, thank you so much. Much appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
If you can share your hashtag links, whatever they are.
Yeah, so I'm going to spell it, I guess, for you guys, because my name, it's not easy to catch or remember. So my website is www, and it's going to be my full name altogether. And my first name is Ivica, but it's pronounced Ivica. And together with Kuchtova.com. And so Ivica Kuchtova, the same way on Instagram. I got YouTube channel too. Ivica Sanctuary is my business name. So yeah, that's where they can find me.
Do you have any final tips for anybody if you're kind of just trying to make the decision?
Make decision? I think it's the why. It's knowing. I think decision making is really based on your values, is knowing your values. So is it a freedom? Is it a truth? Is it making difference? Is it, whatever that is for them? And does that reflect in this situation? Is this going to reflect when it comes to relationship, when it comes to job, when it comes to the mini choices or decisions that we're making, does that align with my value? And then I think that's like the one that I would give to the people.
Right on. Well, again, guys, Ivica, I know I probably butchered your name again, but you guys heard the hashtag. You guys heard everything. Really, if you're looking for more information, please visit her website. Please, check her Instagram. She's got lovely, lovely, lovely information on there, and really, I it's so funny for me. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, but master of none. Know a little bit of life coaching, know a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've got a few different journeys, and that's what serves me. But I love the fact that you're really niching down with this, and you're really trying to specialize in this area. So it's really going to encompass a lot more for people. So check her out, Ivica.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again today.
You, Greg.
Appreciate your time, and
I'll see you next time for sure.
We will.
We'll do one more
do this again.
or two.